she's used to being at the expense of like all of her mom's whims and being moved around all the time. And, her mom has a very specific way of viewing the world that she always preaches to Ginny. And so, but Ginny's very smart, she may be shy and she may be introverted, but she's got a very keen eye and she can read people. She knows when her mom is, turning on her charm or when she's not. And so I guess for her, it's kind of just been this natural progression throughout her life of having to balance that out with her mom and to protect her brother or to protect herself, in ways that her mom can't really, because she was raised a lot differently than Ginny, but Ginny doesn't quite understand that. She just knows that Georgia has this like wild card upbringing. And so I think we see Ginny kind of switch back and forth between just being a teenager who doesn't really have any of the answers to being like the mature, almost kind of pseudo adult who thinks she can handle it all, but she's still kind of overwhelmed by it. So yeah, she's really just bouncing, but it's like racquetball. She's just kind of bouncing off the wall between any side of one of her mom's crazy schemes and things like that. Yeah, I was in bed with my cat, and my team called me, and they told me I got an offer, and then I screamed, and then I hung up the phone, and then I told my cat, and then I called my parents and told them. So yeah, that I was also very excited and grateful and freaking out for sure. Brianne and I immediately, because we're so close in age in real life, we're only 8 years apart. It felt like we were friends pretty right off the bat,
Yeah.
So she's so funny and hilarious and very, very talented. So it was just easy for me to kind of just be in the same room with her. But we did work a lot. We worked a ton. So it was mainly on set and in between those scenes and during our scenes that we really, really got to know each other. I think, I don't know, it may have been my second trip to LA because I flew back and forth a few times during chemistry reads. And yeah, I was just ready to do anything. I just wanted the job. I was like ready to just commit to everything. And yeah, Felix and I met in the waiting room, and he was like, yeah, I just got back from traveling and
Little did you
we
know,
just had a normal conversation. And then we did the read, and then suddenly he dropped his American accent and had an Australian accent because he's from Australia, duh.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I feel like I've been lied to. It was actually really funny. Felix came into the room. He's so kind. He's the kindest guy I've ever met. He's very, very welcoming, very funny. He asks you about you. And so he was really, really nice in the room before we even went in. And when we did our scene, he just had such an intensity and a calmness and a focus to him that made it really easy to, okay, yeah, I got lost in his eyes. I know that's what you really want me to say, and that's exactly what happened. And then when we finished our scene, he just has an Australian accent. Like because he was speaking in an American accent the entire time.
Yeah.
And then suddenly is like, oh, I can drop I'm not going to do it. It's bad. Oh, I can drop the accent. He's suddenly Australian. And I'm like, how is someone so perfect in this world? I think Ginny is an example of the kind of world that we live in today. She's biracial. There are plenty of multicultural families and multicultural people and multiracial households that you don't normally see portrayed, or at least you didn't. Now it's becoming more normal, and I'm loving to see inclusiveness and diversity on screen, just because it simply reflects everyday life. Ginny, there are a lot of questions that she has, questions about her identity, questions about her sexuality, questions about her race and where she belongs in the world. And these are all things that I went through as a teenager too, and as a kid. And I know that a lot of people go through that. So to be able to show that on screen and to have been able to collaborate with Sarah, the show creator, has been such a special experience. And I will always, always value that. It's definitely very flattering. I didn't grow up watching Gilmore Girls, but I had always heard about it. I knew it was super, super popular. So my mother and I actually saw the first 3 seasons of it before I went to Canada, and then she ended up finishing the rest. And yeah, that's really great. But this show is just so, so different, and I think people will really realize that right off the bat. It's dark, it's edgy, it's just modern, and really, really surprising. The showrunner Deb and Anya and the show creator Sarah Lampert were all such wonderful people to work with. To be honest, it throughout filming the show, finding the tone of the show was one of the hardest things because it's just kind of all over the place. And so it kind of has a little bit of everything in it. You know, it's dark, it's light, it's funny, it's sad, it's got mystery, it's got, you know, so many, it's got romance. So finding that kind of balance at first was a bit of a challenge in terms of, for me anyway, because I was like, I don't, these scripts are so like everything happens all at once sometimes in each episode. So I'm like, what is going on? But working with Deb and Sarah and then Anya for the first couple of episodes was so, so cool because they kind of really took me under their wing and they said, hey, you know, follow your instincts and whatever feels true to you is true to the character. So that was really, really nice to kind of have that kind of creative control over a character that I haven't really had before, especially for my like first big role. So super appreciative of them. My best friends, we have a group chat, and they actually visited me while I was filming the show in Toronto, and they're super, super awesome. And yeah, the for my 3 best guy friends and my other best friend, I have a lot of best friends. They all texted me at once, and yeah, they've been texting me nonstop. So yeah, I went to a fine art high school, and so we had a lot of extracurricular activities to express ourselves in, and that's where I kind of really explored acting and like piano and music and stuff. So that part of high school was fun. The rest of high school was like, you know, I'm happy it's behind me. Yeah, I had those awkward years. I had the Ginny moments, but yeah, it was super fun in terms of like all of the cool art stuff we got to do. Well, Game of Thrones is over and I'm American. But I would love to just be in Stranger Things and get killed by like a Demogorgon or something. I really just want to like be killed by like an alien in any movie or show, or like just be an alien that gets killed. I just really want that to happen. I just want to be murdered on TV. I think it was actually, I mean, Brianne and I are only 8 years apart in real life. And so we felt more like sisters. And I think that really helped the relationship between Ginny and Georgia because they are so close in age and um, so they kind of have more of a friendship sort of relationship when it comes to their lighter moments and their more intimate moments. But what was fun with playing with Brianne was that undercurrent where you know that the both of them, even though they can have really tender moments with each other, underneath it all, there are secrets that they're keeping from each other. And I think playing with that underneath, you know, that kind of tension underneath maybe the lighter moments was really, really fun. But also they're kind of at each other's throats a lot. So it was it was more of a challenge when we had to kind of argue with each other a lot and be mean to each other because we love each other so much in real life that adding that element of the kind of volatile relationship that they have was just really interesting to play with for sure. We see this arc really throughout the show, and you see these glimpses of Ginny in these moments where she acts just like Georgia. She isn't afraid to. She's also trying to keep things very, very together. She suddenly has this popularity. She suddenly has these love interests, and she's trying to juggle it all at once. And you know, it may come toppling down. And then seeing how she deals with that in a similar way to her mom is really, really fun because sometimes she's aware of it and other times she's definitely not. I think Ginny really idolizes her mom, especially in the beginning. You really see that. She takes everything that her mom says to heart, but doesn't quite know how to apply it to her own life. And a lot of that has to do with fundamental differences between the two of them. You know, Georgia is a lot more comfortable in her sexuality and she uses it as a weapon. She she's in control, or so it seems, and she's very, very good at projecting that. Whereas Ginny is so uncertain, she's so insecure, and also her mom is this wonderful, beautiful blonde bombshell with a beautiful smile and things like that. And Ginny doesn't really kind of fit the conventional image of beauty that we are typically used to seeing, at least in the media. And so being a teenage girl and having to figure out how your image is portrayed and accepted or not accepted by your peers is really confusing. And I think Ginny tries so hard to emulate all of the things that her mom seems to do so effortlessly, and kind of runs into walls, and so it frustrates her. But then as we see the season progress and we see a lot of things, Ginny uncovering things of her mother's past and realizing that her mom is just as fallible and human as anyone is, you really kind of see that shift in Ginny's perspective of her mom, for sure. Yeah. But you also see how like Ginny is also like Georgia in a lot of ways too. So.
Oh my gosh, where to begin? So for my 16th birthday, my mom insisted that we had all of my friends over, and it was going well. It was awesome. And then suddenly she pulls out my videos of me that I used to make when I was like 8, 9 years old. And I had my own TV show. It was like recorded on this potato of a video camera. And it was the most embarrassing thing I have ever experienced. And I think I left my body in that moment. Oh my gosh, my first kiss, it was on a bouncy house. And we were bouncing, like, jumping up and down, and our teeth collided. Have a buck tooth. And it was really embarrassing.
Mine was in 4th grade, I think. And he was a guy who looked like a character from a game that I really liked. So I was a huge geek, and it was really awkward. I think he knew. He was a grade above me. He was a 5th grader.